The movie begins with a beautiful girl named Tracy, who has just had lunch with her grandmother, Maggie. Tracy's parents died in a car accident years ago, and since then, Maggie has taken care of her. Maggie, who has always been like a mother to Tracy, wishes to see her granddaughter get married before she dies. At first, Tracy rejects her grandmother's request, but when Maggie's health worsens, Tracy is forced to lie and say she has a fiancé. After lunch, Tracy takes Maggie home and meets her assistant, Alan. Maggie, delighted to hear about Tracy's engagement, says she wants to meet this man as soon as possible. Maggie used to be a romance novelist and now owns a publishing house that Tracy runs. Tracy has a close friend at work named Shelley, to whom she confides about her lie. Unsure of what to do, Tracy decides to look for a rental partner online. Eventually, she meets a man named Rob, who works for a company called Groom, a service that helps women in similar situations. To make their lie more believable, Tracy chooses a fake last name for Rob and asks him to pretend to be an accountant. Meanwhile, Tracy explains her grandmother's heart condition to Rob and tells him the act will only last a few weeks. Interestingly, Rob becomes even more eager to help when he learns that Maggie is his late mother's favorite author. On the other hand, one of Tracy's colleagues, Todd, has feelings for her. They once went on a date, but Tracy lost interest, especially after realizing Todd is arrogant and only tries to impress Maggie for attention. The next day, Rob and Tracy go to Maggie's house as planned. While there, Rob accidentally spots a novel that his mother used to love. This discovery helps them connect more easily, and Maggie quickly grows fond of Rob. During the conversation, Rob shares that his mother passed away when he was a child and that he grew up with a father who was always busy running a restaurant. He also claims he met Tracy on a ski trip, a fabricated part of their story to make Maggie happy. In that instant, Rob enthusiastically starts using overly romantic phrases, getting carried away with the act. Tracy pulls him aside and explains that he doesn't need to make up exaggerated love stories. She clarifies that he just needs to play the role of a simple fiancé. They then return to Maggie to say goodbye. The next morning, when Tracy arrives at the office, she is shocked to find out that her grandmother has announced her engagement to all her colleagues. On top of that, Maggie has decided to throw an engagement party for Tracy and has invited everyone from work. Tracy, taken aback by the news, immediately confesses to Shelley that she hired a fake fiancé just to make her grandmother happy. She explains that she put on this act only to protect Maggie's feelings, as her grandmother suffers from a heart condition. That afternoon, Tracy and Rob discuss their upcoming engagement party, which is set to take place at a restaurant called Halling SW. However, Rob reveals that he used to work at that restaurant and is worried someone might recognize him. He asks Tracy to change the location of the party. Later that evening, Rob goes to Tracy's house to accompany her to the event. Before they leave, he gives her an engagement ring, explaining that a friend lent it to him. When they arrive at the restaurant, they find Maggie waiting for them at the entrance, beaming with joy. She warmly welcomes them inside and introduces Rob to Tracy's colleagues as her fiancé. As Tracy introduces Rob to Shelley, she is thrilled to see the engagement ring and gushes over how beautiful it is. A little while later, they run into Todd, one of Tracy's coworkers. Todd, visibly upset about Tracy's engagement, begins questioning Rob about his supposed job as an accountant. He asks him various questions about his fake company, trying to dig deeper. Not wanting to get caught in Todd's interrogation, Rob quickly shifts the conversation. He starts talking about his past, how he is originally from Chicago, lost his mother at a young age, and how his father started out as a waiter before eventually opening his own restaurant. As the party nears its end and everyone prepares to leave, Maggie suddenly suggests that they all go out the next day to start planning the wedding. Tracy initially refuses, but when she sees the disappointment on her grandmother's face, she agrees to meet Maggie with Rob the following day. The next morning, Rob arrives at Tracy's house earlier than planned, saying he wants to rehearse their act before meeting Maggie. They go for a walk together, during which Rob talks about his career path, mentioning that he once appeared on a TV show but only had 2 short lines. As their conversation continues, Rob asks Tracy about her personal life, so he can better play the role of her fiancé and make their lie more convincing. Tracy opens up about her past, explaining that after losing both of her parents, she became withdrawn and angry. However, over time, with her grandmother's support, she was able to heal and move forward. After hearing this, Rob tells her that he completely understands her emotions, as he also lost his mother when he was 9 years old. He adds that he has always been honest about his loss and has never hidden his feelings about it. After their conversation, Rob and Tracy go to the venue Maggie had chosen and meet one of the staff members named Claude. A little later, Maggie and Alan arrive, ready to tour the location and evaluate its suitability for the wedding ceremony. As they explore the outdoor area of the venue, Maggie asks Rob and Tracy to stand in front of the altar so she can take a commemorative photo of them. However, just at that moment, two women recognize Rob because he had previously played the role of a mechanic in a television series. On the way back, Rob suddenly becomes anxious when he spots an insurance advertisement featuring his own face as a model. Fortunately, Tracy also notices the billboard and quickly distracts Alan, preventing him from seeing Rob's face on it. The next day, Tracy searches for Rob's biography online, and when she realizes he was telling the truth, she feels relieved. Seeing Tracy's reaction, Shelley suspects that she has developed feelings for Rob. However, Tracy is still unsure about her emotions, as she believes their relationship is nothing more than an act. A few hours later, Rob visits Tracy at the office and invites her out for lunch. At the restaurant, Rob reveals that he has received an offer from an agency to act in a new television series. However, since filming takes place in another city, he is hesitant about accepting the role. Rob asks Tracy to read the script and give her opinion on whether the role would be a good fit for him. When Tracy returns to the office, Shelley excitedly shares a big revelation with her. Rob's father, Arthur, is the owner of a luxury restaurant chain with locations in several major cities. This means that Rob is actually the sole heir to a massive business empire. Later, when Rob comes back to the office to bring Tracy the script, she asks him in surprise why he had kept his father's wealth a secret. Rob explains that he doesn't want to rely on his father's money or reputation. He prefers to build his own life through his own efforts. The next day, Maggie arrives at Tracy's office with an important announcement. She has already paid for the wedding venue and has decided to organize a rehearsal ceremony for Tracy and Rob's wedding. Maggie feels guilty for making this decision without consulting them first, but Tracy, wanting to make her grandmother happy, agrees to participate in the event. However, Tracy isn't doing it just for Maggie. She has come to realize that she is truly falling in love with Rob. When Rob and Tracy meet to discuss the rehearsal ceremony, Tracy tells him that it is scheduled for Saturday. Rob also has some news. He has landed the lead role in the series he had mentioned before, but his costume fitting for the show is scheduled for the exact same day. They are both caught off guard by their conflicting schedules, but in the end, Rob decides to put Tracy first. He tells her that he will contact the agency to postpone his fitting session. That night, Rob goes to a restaurant to meet his father, Arthur. The story is that the father and son haven't seen each other in 3 years because Rob chose to live independently and didn't want to rely on Arthur's wealth. Ever since Arthur became a successful businessman, he had never forced his son to inherit his fortune and had always respected Rob's decision to pursue his own career. During their meeting, Rob confesses that he has fallen in love with someone and wants to ask Arthur's permission to give Tracy his mother's ring. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, Todd is drinking at a bar when he suddenly sees an advertisement featuring Rob from his insurance commercial. Interestingly, the bar owner also recognizes Rob because he had previously played a fake fiancé for his ex-girlfriend. The next day, Rob goes to Maggie's office while simultaneously calling his father to tell him that he wants to end the fake engagement with Tracy. However, Tracy overhears Rob's conversation and misunderstands his intentions, while Rob actually plans to end the act with a real proposal. Finally, the wedding rehearsal day arrives. Rob enters the dressing room to talk to Tracy, but she treats him coldly, leaving Rob completely confused by her behavior. During the rehearsal, Todd suddenly arrives and exposes Rob's secret, revealing that he is actually a hired fiancé whom Tracy had paid for. In that instant, Rob has no choice but to tell the truth, admitting that he never expected Maggie to support them so wholeheartedly. After Tracy leaves the venue, upset, Rob goes to Maggie and apologizes for his lies. However, he also confesses that he has truly fallen in love with Tracy and had planned to use this opportunity for a real proposal. Following these events, Tracy goes to the hospital to visit Maggie. Maggie tells her that the ring she is wearing actually belonged to Rob's late mother. She then asks Tracy to find Arthur, Rob's father, and learn the truth about Rob's love for her. Following her grandmother's wishes, Tracy goes to Holling's restaurant and meets Arthur. There, she returns the ring to him, and Arthur explains that Rob had taken the ring to give it to the woman he loves. Arthur also reveals that Rob had called him, saying he wanted to end the fake engagement with a real proposal. Upon hearing this, Tracy realizes she had misunderstood everything. Arthur hands the ring back to her, urging her to find Rob again. After returning from the restaurant, Tracy goes back to the hospital to tell her grandmother that she spoke with Arthur. Maggie encourages her to go after Rob, convinced that they are truly in love. As Tracy leaves the hospital, she unexpectedly runs into Rob. Rob tells her that he has turned down the acting job. In that instant, he confesses his love for Tracy, bringing the film to its happy ending.